right, what is up? Good to see everybody today. Just going to do sort of what you guys want to talk about. I mean, a little bit of light news. Not to miss a news cycle. Denny Hamlin came out and said he's going to remember the way that Joey Logano drove him at Martinsville, but he did enjoy the racing between him and Ryan Blaney. And the other, I didn't even cover it in the thing because I didn't even think about it at the time. But because I was watching it live, I sort of caught up in the moment. I didn't even think about how Joey Logano raced Ty Gibbs, and that he might have been. Some people were speculating that he might have been trying to push Ty Gibbs into Hamlin's car. So just all kinds of stuff. But yeah, that's the only two things that I really saw today that I didn't get a chance to address. X-Dude, what's going on? Good to have you on here, my friend. RCR fan, but Creed did nothing wrong, in my opinion. Yeah. So a lot of people thought I was taking sides in that video. I wasn't taking sides. Like I said, I thought it was a racing incident. If I'm either one of those guys, I race the exact same way that those guys raced. And the other thing that people brought up was they had a red flag. The spotter had time to communicate to Austin Hill the point situation. Well, during that red flag, Cole Custer was in sixth. So in that scenario, Austin Hill still had to win the race. So as the green flag was dropped, there's no way the spotter could look at what Austin Hill was doing and what Sheldon Creed was doing and then go look back there to see where Sheldon Creed was at. I mean, look back there and see where Cole Custer was at and then relay that information while still keeping Austin Hill or Sheldon Creed clear. So in that situation, the spotters, in my opinion, did not have enough time. And people that think the spotters had enough time to relay all that information, I don't think have ever spotted in their entire lives. I'm just going to be totally honest about that because there just isn't enough time. So, yes, under the red flag, they could have communicated that. But under the red flag, Austin Hill still had to win that race. And just to reiterate the point that you asked, I don't think either driver did anything wrong. The point I was making in that video is I'm glad both drivers gave their honest opinion about the situation because 9 times out of 10 in those situations, the corporate entities get in and they sanitize it. And those guys don't give their real opinion on that situation. I'm not saying either guy was right or wrong. In fact, I think both guys were right in what they needed to do to get into the championship. But I'm glad that they gave the honest truth after the fact. And if people consider that unprofessional, then the sport needs to be more unprofessional because it was really refreshing that they gave their honest opinion, as well as RCR, Richard Childress and Andy Petrie clearly making their thoughts known about the situation, very crystal clear too. So I'm all for the more honest opinions. Was all I was getting at in that video. I wasn't taking one side or the other. And I like Sheldon Creed and I like Austin Hill as well. So let's see here. TJ Moorshed says, well, the short track package made a heck of an improvement in my opinion. Yeah, it looks like the tire fall off, at least on TV, made it a much better race to watch on TV. I think TV was benefited by the fact that you had the guys telling you all the strategy. I won't lie to you, sitting there watching the race live at the track, it was not the most exciting race that I've ever seen, but there was tire fall off and there was comers and goers. So I think going forward, they can tweak a few things and make it even better. I thought it was a regular race watching it live, but I think the addition of TV, giving you the context of everything going on, made it for a more exciting race. Y'all from North Idaho. What's up, Cassandra? What's up, North Idaho? Hamlin is already saying next year is his year. Speak less, do more. Denny says one wise guy. I like his confidence, and I like that he's not going to miss a news cycle, and I like that he's owning. He's not letting people troll him for saying this was going to be his year. He's owning it and saying next year is going to be our year. So he's in some ways having a little fun with it, and in the other ways he's not letting people own him for saying it's going to be our year. But that's going to be a meme for a long time. The fact that he tweeted out this is going to be our year. People that are not Denny Hamlin fans are going to have some fun with that. No doubt about it. And that's part of the fun of the sport. You got to have that type of stuff in there. It was the team's fault, says Duke Chronic. I mean, I don't know. You can't, like, if you drop the green flag and the information is both guys have to win, I don't have a problem with both guys racing like they should, like they did at the end of it. You might have a better argument with the team showing that emotion in public. Maybe you have a pretty good argument there, but at the end of the day, I think it makes for a better sport because you have a storyline to actually talk about. Great YouTube channel. I appreciate you there, Ben. BB is Sheldon Creed, a dirty driver, and will him and Austin Hill be buddies and get over it tomorrow? See, that's what I'm saying. Like if you've been to a lot of short tracks, you see this all the time. Give it about a week, or if it's a really serious situation, give it a month. After a while, it just sort of goes away. Now you won't forget it, but you'll sort of get over it. but the only time that it would come back and sort of be in your mind is if you start racing beside that guy again and he gives you a little bump and you're like, all right, that's it. That's the end of it. I'm gonna get him back for this time. I'm going to get him back for the last time. And I'm going to get him back for the 12 other times that he got me. That would be the only time I see it be in a situation. There is like a 50-50 chance that they have talked about it already and are laughing about it today. Kind of like the Ross Chastain, Noah Gragson deal. When, like not even 24 hours later, they had already made up and were joking about it when Ross Chastain popped Noah Gragson. So, you never know with these situations. Now, I mean, there's a chance too that it lingers and they will like never like each other again. Like we've obviously seen that with Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin. So it can go either way. But there's also, I mean, I just want to say there's a good chance that they might be laughing about it today. So you just never know with these deals. The negative after the race was terrible, says Cassandra. Yeah, but I will now. Do I think it was handled as good as it could have been handled? No, but I do like the fact that everybody was honest and gave in their view their honest opinion of the situation. So I'd rather have that than some corporate speak. So that was the point of the video. What's up in between the lanes? Good to see you on here, Joseph Wooten. Will we see any RCR shenanigans at Phoenix? There's a lot of people speculating. Do you think Sheldon Creed will even get to race the last race at Phoenix? I think he will. I don't think, like I said, I think when everybody cools down, it might be a situation where they all laugh about it if it goes like that. Or it could be something that they hold on to and they're bitter about for a long time. You never know. It just depends on the interpersonal relationships over there at our RCR. It's always next year for Denny, says X-Dude. So, yeah, he's always going to be in that conversation with Junior Johnson and Mark Martin. So, Creed to JGR. Says one wise guy, yeah, Creed is going to JGR. I know a lot of people were like, how do you know that? And I didn't realize I'd let it slip, but apparently I had. And then when I was reading through the comments, I was like, oh, crap, I can't believe I said that. But yeah, somebody had told me that a while back. And it's not like the best kept secret. There's a lot of people that knew it, but like, I was like, man, so I let it slip. But I'm glad that Austin Hill, I'm not glad necessarily that he let it slip, but I'm glad somebody let it slip. Because, you respect the process, right? But I'm glad it did slip so that some of the pressure and the heat was taken off of me. But like, it's not like I'm making up stuff. But yeah, he's going to JGR. What did Andy say? I couldn't make out what he said. It says one wise guy. Sheldon Creed, talking to Andy Petrie. I don't know what Andy Petrie said, but Sheldon Creed said back to Andy Petrie, if Austin Hill had wrecked me, you guys wouldn't have said bleep. So that's what Sheldon Creed said back. I don't know what Andy actually said to him though. I can't believe Algar smacked the wall that hard and still won. Yeah, that's crazy. Those composite bodies take a licking and keep on ticking, man. But good win. That's the crazy thing. Nobody's even talking about Justin Algar winning to get into the round of 4. So that's pretty funny too. The 22 had a dominant car at last race. Sorry about that, Tacona. The 22 had a dominant car at the last race last year. If the 12 gets that set up, he may win it all. And there's a lot of people that think the 12 actually had the better car last year and team orders to let the 22 win. So, yeah, Penske definitely really good at Phoenix. And we'll get into those numbers probably tomorrow if you want to. BD, do you see Harrison Burton possibly winning Phoenix this weekend on Earth 2? On Earth 2, he can still win Phoenix. But you know what? BJ McLeod, if you've seen Brock's already leaked it on Earth 2. BJ McLeod is the champion this year. So 3-time champion on Earth 2, BJ McLeod. It was follow the leader type race for me, says one wise guy. That's the race that I saw when I was there live. I don't know what TV showed, but I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying, oh, this race is great. This is the best Martinsville race they've had in a long time. At the actual racetrack, it wasn't. So that's all I can tell you. But I think because you had the context of everything going on and sitting in the stands, you didn't necessarily have that context unless you were listening to MRN and my radio was going in and out. So I only got bits and pieces as I was listening to it. What's up, BB? How was Martinsville? Says Chrome Diesel. Martinsville is always a fun time for me. Look, I've seen a way more boring race there than that one. So I'm not going to sit here and complain about the racing at all. I was just surprised that so many people on TV thought it was as good a race as it was compared to what I saw. So, yeah, Martinsville is always a good time. I've never seen that many people. I've been to sellouts in Martinsville before. I have never seen that many people at Martinsville. You could not get a hot dog. There was like and Danny B confirmed this when I talked to him. I didn't even stand in line to get a hot dog because the lines were always so long. But Danny B said he stood in line for like over an hour to get a hot dog. And when he got them, he got so many and so many waters. So he never had to return to that line for the rest of the race. Said it took him like about a whole segment, I think, to get a hot dog. So it was the most crowded I've ever seen it. And I think that's great for the sport. Really good deal, but it was, with it being that crowded, do comes a few downsides like that. TJ Morshed, TJ, not this one, from Door Bumper Clear, said said the only spot Creed went wrong is he didn't put Hill into the turn one wall. Like the ending of last year's race, there was no win-win situation for Creed. Yeah, so I mean, obviously RCR is going to favor Austin Hill because they know Austin Hill is coming back next year. But Sheldon Creed apparently thinks that they were favoring him all season. I don't know. Like I said, I don't get to watch the Xfinity Series because I'm usually at the racetrack myself. So it's a hard call. But yeah, it wasn't necessarily professional the way they handled it afterwards. But I thought it was great because I like actual personality. I would rather somebody be honest than be professional. But that's just me. At the end of the day, I'd rather know where I stand with somebody than not. So in that moment, Sheldon Creed, he thinks that he's not favored there. What's up, Captain Volt? Thumbs up to you too, my friend. But yeah, in that moment, Sheldon Creed was validated, right, by feeling that they like Austin Hill better than them, at least in Sheldon Creed's mind, and I think in a lot of other people's minds too. So that's what I'm saying. I'd rather be honest because there you go. It's all out there. It's all on the table now. There's you don't have to worry about it or what somebody really meant by saying this, that, or the other thing. It was pretty obvious what everybody meant there. 7 Fords finished in the top 10. Some guys, their best finish Ford had an advantage, says Duke Chronic. Fords were strong there, no doubt about it. And this is what we've seen all season with this car. At one point in the season, Chevrolet looked dominant. At one point in the season, Ford looked dominant. Ford had or Toyota, Chevrolet. Ford had a spurt there in the middle of the season somewhere where RFK and, all them were running really good. So we've seen at various points in the season, different cars look dominant. And that's actually, I will say, one positive thing about this new car. It's fairly equal for the most part. So there you go. Captain Volt laughing. Lindsey Weston, what's up, my friend? Jaime, do you think the good old boys Childress ownership model toxic in the modern environment? We have seen this at Roush and Brad being taken back when he got there and had to make big changes. So that is a fair point. I don't know if this model can last in this era, but I do like it better because, like I said, if you get to the level, I just want the people to be free to say what they want to say and be who they are in real life. I don't want this necessarily. I'm just going to say the word fake. It's like this fake persona you put on for the camera. And to an extent, you have to do that for sponsors. But I think sometimes they go too far in trying to be too perfect. And you've got this gilded person where they're one person on camera. And then when you see them, let's say you're a fan and you see them when the camera's not on, you might be totally taken aback as to who that person actually is in real life. And I just don't think that that's necessarily healthy for the sport. So I think you don't have to go full all the way like RCR is, but I also think you don't have to go full all the way like Hendrick, Penske, and Joe Gibbs Racing are, where you basically have drivers acting one way in front of a camera and one way when they're not in front of a camera. Case in point being Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson in front of a camera, he's going to say all of the right things, but we know that's not necessarily the real Jimmy Johnson because this is the same Jimmy Johnson that got drunk and fell off the top of a golf cart. Dale Jr. shared a story where he was overserved and used a ficus tree as a urinal. So we know that's not the real Jimmy Johnson, right? So, but you wouldn't ever know that if you just saw him on TV. And, so situations like that can arise. I think there's a happy medium to be found. It doesn't need to be overly corporate. And you don't have to go out there like one of the Sith from Star Wars using nothing but emotion either. So I think there's a happy medium that can be found. Fixed or repaired Dodge, says Captain Volt, talking about Ford. Captain Volt, please hold. Dirty Def, Hill shouldn't have said that, says Dirty Def. I don't know. I kind of like that they laid it out. So there was no fakeness there. I don't mind. I think you can make a better argument that Richard Childress and Andy Petrie shouldn't have done what they did. I like the drivers actually being honest about the situation, though. I concur with TJ there and TJ here. There was a no-win situation with RCR for Creed, but the mistake was not fencing Hill in turn one, says Charlotte. So, yeah, I mean, that's a fair statement. I mean, we've seen it in the past, right? So we saw it last year with Gibbs, and we saw it, I think, last year as well with Junior Motorsports. They had a similar situation where they took themselves out of the playoffs as well. Noah Gregson going to Stewart Haas Racing in 2024. That's the big rumor. That seems to be what Bob Pockrass is leaning toward Ben Kluber. Everybody thinking Noah Gregson is going in at 10 car now that Eric Almirola has officially announced he is going to retire. I haven't even made a video about that. I actually need to get on that. Petrie said something like, "You didn't give him a chance," says Charlotte. Okay, so if Petrie said that, that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world for Petrie to say, but there is a way of saying it. You saw Petrie, you didn't even give him a chance. It's the extra hand motion maybe, and the sort of like, what is your problem? So I think there's probably it's not necessarily what you say, it's how you deliver it in some situations. And it obviously made Sheldon Creed feel some kind of way because he said, you wouldn't have said blank if he had done that to me. So I think Petrie said BS. So if he said BS, it's the words and the delivery, Dirty Def. So we'll have to see. Or they were saying so on Door Bumper Clear, says Charlotte. Perfect time in BB live stream, and then the Magic Lakers game at 10:30. So there you go. That's going to be a good little tilt right there. Magic versus the Lakers. Blaney ran blocked for Logano last year, and Ross was in third. Yeah, that's for sure. Ross couldn't. I do remember that because I was watching it there toward the ends, and Ross was having a hard time getting around him. I never could officially get it. Hold my whopper, says Captain Volt. I think Robbie Gordon had a really good take on it. I saw that video, but I saw the thumbnail for that video, I should say. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. A good take on it, although he's obviously biased. He's right. Something you need to the F1, the strategy for the good of the team. RCR just dropped that. Yeah, so like moving forward with the playoffs, especially, that's actually a really good point. You probably need to go over every scenario before the race even starts. And I will bail out the spotter because I think a lot of people blaming the spotter for not giving him the situation. I don't think those people have ever spotted. Now, during the red flag, you can give them the information, right? But when you're battling with a guy that close, your spotter can't really take his eyes off of you when all that's going on and look back and see where Cole Custer's at. But before all that started, the position Cole Custer was in, both of those guys had to win. So that's the last information Austin Hill had. And like I'm saying, from Austin Hill's perspective and from Sheldon Creed's perspective, neither one of those guys did anything wrong. And I'm glad that they were honest about their feelings after the race too. But that being said, definitely if they had gone over this pre-race, maybe there's a different situation, different outcome. Let's see. Last year's race was better, says Dirty Def. The mid-pack cars couldn't do anything, says Duke Chronic. Thoughts on Truex retiring his radio? Traffic sounds like he feels defeated and done. As far as Truex retiring, look, here's I'm far from an expert on what's going on individual cup teams, but I can tell you this. If you just listen to what a race car driver says during a race, he might quit during that race 15 times. He might tell the crew chief he's an idiot 12 times. He might swear to God he's going to another team 12 or 13 different times. When a race car driver sits in a race car, he is an absolute demon. You can't go off anything he's saying when he's sitting in that race car. Like all the demons and all the evil spirits are coming out of him. There's who is in that race car in that moment, who's in a almost 150 degree car or whatever, and there's who that person is outside of that race car. You can't put any stock into what a guy says sitting inside of a race car. It's just heat of the moment type stuff, and really it's fun to make videos about it and have a laugh about it and stuff like that, but you can't go off what a race car driver says in a race car. It's sort of like if you've ever gotten angry in an argument and you said something that you didn't mean. That's kind of like every day when a race car driver sitting in a race car. There is a poll question up, by the way. The poll question: who do you think is going to win the championship? That is up. Please smash the like button, says one wise guy. Yeah, if you want to hit that like button, it would be much appreciated. Just a heads up: the radio call totally missed the end of stage 2. They were legitimately confused on the caution coming out. That is how boring the race was, says Charlotte. I'm gonna tell you what, MRN missed it too. So that was pretty funny. Let's see. Oh, the radio. Oh, you were talking about the radio. I'm so sorry. That's what I was listening to as well. So yeah, they missed it on the radio. I'm not sure about TV. The regular said they didn't have as much hot dog lines as last races, says Dirty Def. Oh, that's okay. So they didn't have as many vendors. So that was part of the problem. Some guy called TMD this morning complaining about them being out of hot dogs at the end of stage 1. Pander and Pete Pistone threw a hissy fit that he was annoyed by that, says say Kyle. So that might be true, man. I'm telling you, I've seen sellouts there. But this was a legitimate sellout, and people were like, well, there were some blank spaces in them seats. I was like, yeah, because they were probably standing in a hot dog line for an hour. I promise you, it was completely sold out. It was shoulder to shoulder, no matter where you went. because we were like, all right, we're gonna let the race get started and we'll walk down and get some hot dogs so everybody will be watching the race. Nope, still a huge line. So no matter where you went, it was crowded. It was if you're an introvert, it was sort of like your nightmare. You're like, oh my God, there's people all around all the time. So it was if you were an introvert, it was not a good situation for you. I thought Sheldon handled himself better than he could have. As good as he could have. Yeah, I think he handled himself well. There's no doubt about that. And look, he's going to put this in his mental folder for next year, and I think he is going to try to make a statement going to the new team that he's allegedly supposed to be going to. I'm thinking Larson wins on Sunday, says one wise guy. I'm hoping Larson wins. As a Larson fan, I'm hoping he wins. But I think looking at the numbers, I think, if I remember correctly, I think Ryan Blaney has actually the better numbers there. So he could sort of pull like that 2015, I think, Joey Logano spoiler, where he comes out of nowhere. Everybody left is a good driver. So, I mean, flip a coin. But let's see. Do you think RFK helped Penske? Says I don't know, because if they did, they probably should have helped the 17 car as well. So it's hard to say. What happened to the pace car? According to I guess the radio, the rubber built up on the rear tire and knocked a wiring connection line off of it, and that caused it to go into limp mode. So even if that's the actual of what happened, it doesn't make me want to go buy a Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. I'll tell you that much. That being said, I know with the when these are ZL1s and Ford Mustang Cobras or whatever they are now. They're all basically hand built to an extent. And whenever you get to hand building something, it gets closer and closer to a race car. And if you've ever messed with a race car is a finicky thing. So you might not want to make that your daily driver. I'm just going to throw that out there. Let's see here. Ryan Blaney had a blank deck lid on his car. That could have been the time for Snoop Cereal to make an appearance in NASCAR. Yeah, all Snoop Cereal. It's coming. It's coming. About 2 weeks away from the Snoop Cereal live stream. Big Baloney. Woo, what's up, Mr. B? Or MBR. Let's see. Austin had a better win record than Creed. That could be the reason why RCR let Creed go. I don't know that RCR actually let Creed go. I think the reason that they're mad with Sheldon Creed is they thought he was coming back, and Sheldon Creed, in my opinion, decided to go allegedly to where he's going next season, which is allegedly Joe Gibbs Racing. The pace car retired. Didn't like the Pontiac or something, says Captain Volt. I don't mind the honesty. I just disagree with them about the incident. To me, the incident was, I think if you don't have everything that happened afterwards, I think if you're just watching that on TV and they don't blow up at each other afterwards, I think if you just look at the incident itself, that's just two guys racing for a win. That's all I really saw at the end of the day. I'm hearing that Robbie Gordon could be in that 10 car next year via Marty Reed. I don't know. We'll have to see about that one. I just meant that he shouldn't have mentioned Gibbs. Yeah, and see, a lot of people are like, he did that on purpose. There's a 50% chance that he did it on purpose. There's also a 50% chance that he was just really mad and he just said, I'm glad he's going to Joe Gibbs Racing next season and he's out of here. I don't know that he necessarily did it on purpose, but yeah, getting it leaked that way is kind of bad. But then again, people in the media leak things all the time as to where guys are going. I mean, Dale Jr. leaked Kyle Busch was going to RCR on Twitter, and he didn't get a lot of blowback for it. And he's not technically media, so he's a former driver. So it is what it is at the end of the day. I'm not going to sit here and get mad at Austin Hill for leaking something when I've made 400 videos about a reporter leaking information as to where a driver goes. That would be hypocritical on my part. So I can't get mad at Austin Hill for that. But if you want to get mad at Austin Hill for that, I certainly understand where you're coming from your perspective, 100%. But I can't be hypocritical because I've used other guys leaking somebody going somewhere else and made videos about it. So it would be hypocritical for me to be like, oh, Sheldon Creed, Austin Hill, you leaked that. All right, son of a gun, I'm going to make a video about it and profit. Let's see here. New Kings of the NFC West, my friend, says one wise guy. Yeah. 49ers, three losses in a row. We're not doing good right now. The amount of cautions for Saturday race, and ask myself, why do you need stage cautions when you have double-digit cautions since 2020? Says Chrome Diesel. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm still not a big fan of stage cautions myself. Robbie Gordon was right. Chocolate Myers was also right. almost an RCR. Could have had 2 in. Petrie is showing his colors, says MV. So, yeah, like I said, you're either the good thing about RCR is the same thing that's always been about RCR. So even since they've had like Dale Earnhardt, you're either going to like them or you're not going to like them. They're not going to leave you that middle ground. And it's always sort of been like that with them. It is not a penalty for teams to is it not a penalty for teams to manipulate the outcome of a race? It is, but it's such a gray area. They've penalized certain teams for it, and other teams they've not penalized for it. It's a judgment call, so that's where it gets really tricky about manipulating a race. So it sort of is what it is. Streams all week. Testing. Yeah, I am going to stream all week. Hopefully, God willing. So yeah, all week I will be streaming. On Wednesday, I know people are concerned. I'm not going to stream on top of the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. I'm going to stream before it. So just don't get too worked up about that. I know some people do, because some people like to watch both of them. So I will just go on before they go on. People on Moody's show were just look at the TV monitor and tell them the points, completely forgetting TV has a delay, says Say Kyle. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I really wish people could spot one time. It's one of the more difficult jobs in the sport, and you really don't have enough time to go back and forth in a situation like that where you're trying to get your driver clear and then also look back to see where Cole Custer's at. It would be super hard. I thought Amarola was going to get a random walk-off win there for a while. Man, TJ Moorshed, I was right there with you. I thought Chase Elliott at first. I was like, daggum. I was like, when Chase Elliott stretched that lead out, I was like, oh, my goodness, he actually might make this interesting. And then when Eric Almirola passed him, I was like, I don't know if Eric Almirola can hold on. He was looking good for a while, but then Ryan Blaney, once he got sort of in that top 5, he started picking them up and putting them down. That dude, he had a fast car. I tell you what, I actually, on lap 10, I was looking at Ryan Blaney go through the field, and I said, if that guy ever gets track position, he's going to win this race. And I was, for once, I was like, actually, usually when I say something like that, the guy blows up or gets in a wreck or something. For once, I was actually right. When I was talking to my friend, I was like, Ryan Blaney's going to win this race if he gets track position. He ends up doing it. So he was just that visibly, when you're there live, faster. 28 minutes under red flag before a green-white checker, and they couldn't still heal the situation. Well, that's what I'm saying. They can still heal the situation, but the information he would have had in that red flag is that he has to win the race because Cole Custer was in 6th place. And if Cole Custer finishes in 6th place, Austin Hill has to win the race to get in. So that's what I'm saying. In that situation, both drivers have to win the race. So at the end of the day, you can't fault either driver, because the last information they would have from that red flag is that they both have to win the race. Hence, you can't complain about you can't complain about Sheldon Creed. I'm getting Sheldon Creed and Cole Custer mixed up because I don't know why. But you can't complain about Sheldon Creed driving like he drove, and you also can't complain about Austin Hill driving like he drove. There were just 2 guys going for the win there. Let's see here. Glock, what's up, my friend? What's up, everyone, from Glocktopus World headquarters in sunny Phoenix, Arizona, home of the championship. I know you'll be there, my friend. I'm not going to be able to make it out this year, unfortunately. Let's see here. John Irby, I watched the race on Truex's in-car. How do you speed on pit road coming out of the last pit stop? I don't know, John Irby. That's a good question, and I don't know what happened. It looked like he fell off the jack on another pit stop, so he really shot himself in the foot on pit road. When is Martinsville Speedway going to remove the backstretch tarp and allow fans to sit? I don't know, Ben. I've sat there before they had stands back there, and now that they have stands back there, it looks like they got them tarped off, so I don't know. He cut the timing line, which is curved. He drove straight out, says Glock. That's a dumb rule, says John Irby. Let's see here. I love your work, mate. Too late here. I'm out. Oh, thanks for hanging out with us, though, Lindsay. Thanks for everything. If I don't catch before the end of the season, yeah, so I'm going to do some more of these. But if you can't catch them live, understand the time difference there. So if you can't catch them live, I'll leave them up all week, though. RCR Cup cars were on another planet yesterday, says dude. They've been good at most tracks, but they have not had a good short track package this year. That is something they've really got to work on in the offseason. Creed drove like a young Earnhardt. Richard should see it and have no problem with it, says Tacona. I think now that the swelling has gone down with everybody, I think now that they have clearer heads, I think they'll be okay. I think when everybody calms down and looks at the situation, I think everybody will be okay with it. Charlotte says if Billy Big Hat wins this week, he is a blown engine from being the first to win all 3 titles. I think Kyle knew what the future had in store. Says Charlotte. So I think William Byron has a really good chance of winning this week. Yeah, I don't know. That's definitely I don't know. Like I said, without looking at the numbers, but yeah, there's not a driver in the Final Four though that I can look at and be like, yeah, there's no chance that this guy's going to win. I think the Final Four is the best Final Four numbers wise we've had in quite some time. Glockapus saying John Irby. It's not a rule. It's computer calculated. It calculates the time you need to travel over the lane line, which curves with pit road. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there is a better way that they could monitor it, but they do it the way they do it. Duke Chronic, NASCAR is going to NASCAR. Do you think the weather might be why it was a sellout crowd, says Duke Chronic? It could be the weather. It could have been the weather. It could have been the fact that Ross Chastain did the Hill Mellon last year. I don't know exactly why it was a sellout the way it was, but it definitely was a sellout. And I'll tell you what, compared to last year, they had a lot more fan pavilion type stuff. Because I remember watching because I went to Martinsville last year, then I went to Phoenix, and it was like night and day. Like when I went to Phoenix, it was like an actual carnival. Phoenix did just an amazing job, and I remember the striking difference. Martinsville just felt like. And it's just a different style of doing things. Martinsville just felt like a cozy, old school race, but it didn't have all that. This year, when I went to Martinsville, especially for this race, because even in the earlier race this year, they didn't have it. I mean, they had people, they had bands, they had dancers, they had all kinds of stuff going on. It was they went all the way out this year. So I want to say also part of it probably had to do with the promotion and wanting to get more people there. So kudos to Martinsville. They really stepped their game up all the way around this year. They got a lot closer to the experience I had in Phoenix. So I think a lot of stuff went into why it was a big sellout. But yeah, for sure, the weather is always going to play a part in it. When it's it was one of the nicest days ever. So that definitely had to play a part in it. Truex drove a straight line between the curve. Straight line is faster. Yeah, I mean, that's most likely what happened. It was his year. When is the 12 getting DQ'd? Says Wonka Me. I don't know, buddy. Let's see. X-Dude, RCR, Cup cars are sad. I don't see. People keep saying RCR is a sad organization. It might be a sad organization, but Kyle Busch won 3 races this year. Like, that's pretty daggum good. Like, if it wasn't for some DNFs in the playoffs, he probably makes the final 8, possibly the final 4. Obviously wouldn't have made the final 4 with the Martinsville race. I don't know. I feel like RCR had a pretty good season. I don't know why everybody all of a sudden, because RCR runs bad at Martinsville and has had a bunch of DNFs in the playoffs, I don't know why all of a sudden everybody thinks RCR is terrible. They won 3 races, made the playoffs with Kyle Busch, and Kyle Busch probably would have had a deeper run in the playoffs if he hadn't DNF'd. If I were, but I don't know. You're more than welcome to think that RCR is a terrible organization. I just don't see it that way. They won 3 races. If I were JGR, I would learn to leak and announce Sheldon Creed to the team with a clip of Austin saying, I'm glad he's going to JGR, followed up by Coach saying, me too. That would be epic, say Kyle. That's exactly what they should do. We should mention that to him. I will, if I had any way to run it up the ladder, I'd run it up the ladder to him. I think that would be a great idea. Difference is Hill did that to get back at Sheldon. I'm pretty sure you're just reporting rumors. I don't know. So, I mean, it is what it is, like at the end of the day. But, I mean, like I said, there's been other people that aren't necessarily media people that have leaked out where a driver's going. So, I don't know. RC and Petrie look like blank. Who would remember 10 years from now that Sheldon Creed left if Austin finished second? They are both in. Mr. Director of Competition, Petrie, big brain, says MB. So I guess a lot of people are blaming it on Andy Petrie because he's the director of competition. I don't know. Richard Childress and Joe Gibbs can be mad at Austin Hill for ruining the press release and making corporate sponsors mad. That type of thing is usually done by the books, says Glock. I mean, but at the end of the day, I'm just going to be honest with you. It's been out there for a while. It just hasn't been officially like announced. This is a changing of the guard and cup. The older drivers getting phased out, says Jay Campbell. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of drivers that have been around for a long time that are they're definitely at the end of their career for sure. I think we disagree. Baloney, LOL, that's good. Oh, yeah, it's all good. There's no problem. You feel free to disagree. Your points are just as valid as my points. It's all good. Let's see here. Super Wednesday, Bologna Burger and NWP, says Dirty Death. Yeah, for sure. We'll be the roar before the NWP. Oh no, TJ, if Eric had won that, he 100% stays in for another 3 to 5 years, says Charlotte. Yeah, that would have been funny. Like if he got out of the car and said, "I'm unretiring because I won this race." The spotters have no idea unless it's obvious. Usually, there's a crew chief keying up the channel too to tell the spotter to tell the driver as far as points. That's what the 24 did all day. Yeah, the only problem with that is if the spotter in that situation, if the spotter has constantly got his thing down, which sometimes they will do in a situation like that, so nobody else can key in. If the spotter keeps his on like that, even if you tried to key in, you wouldn't be able to get into it, and that's what I'm betting probably happened in that situation. But yeah, at the end of the day, you can blame who you want to, but I don't think you should blame anybody because both guys did what they had to do to win that race. It didn't work out for either one of them. But if I'm Austin Hill, I don't change the way I'm driving in that situation. If I'm Sheldon Creed, I don't change the way I'm driving in that situation. The only thing I was saying in the video is I'm glad they both told their version of the truth about it, right? They told their point of view, and I'm glad they didn't lie about it and say like, oh, yeah, just hard racing, and pretend like they still like each other and then, go to the Monday morning meeting and have a shouting and cussing match and then act like they're cool with each other all of Phoenix. I'm glad that they just got it out there and said, yeah, look, we don't like each other, and I'm glad he's gone. Like, I'm glad they both were sort of in that boat. Let's see here. Or in Sheldon Creed's boat, he said, he's going to watch the replay, and it's not going to be that big of a deal. So, and to Sheldon Creed's point, Austin Hill tweeted out later, I don't blame him for anything he did except for the brake check. So Sheldon Creed, was probably right in that situation. Blaney had 4 fresh meats while Eric was on old tires. Eric Amarola was on old tires, says John Irby. Yeah, that definitely had a lot to do with it. But I don't know. I think their play was if they can get far enough ahead, the tires will degrade enough to the point where it'll sort of even out. In that situation, it didn't even out. And Blaney just had the fastest car. I don't know if it would have mattered one way or the other. So obviously, if it was just a car with normal speed, like let's say Denny Hamlin was the fastest car, Eric Amarola's gamble would have paid off because he didn't get passed by Denny Hamlin. The 12 car just hit the set. They hit the setup better than anybody else, and sometimes there's just no stopping a car that is that fast. And kudos to the 12 team. They showed up when they needed to show up, and they got it done. I'm in the middle about Hill versus Creed feud. It's the product of the current playoff format. I mean, yeah, that's part of it. Look, I'm not taking either side. Like I don't even care. To me, it's just racing. That was just a racing incident. The only thing I'm saying is I'm glad that they actually told the truth about it instead of spouting out some corporate BS. That's the only stance I was taking on the matter. Jay Campbell, yes, RCR is changing out Bush, probably unintentionally, but they're doing a good job of it. Says Ronald, did the Rocket Man ever catch up to Josephus, or does he still 0-1? I don't know. That's a good question. I know Carson Hocevar moved the 54 out of the way at one point, and I know Joey Logano moved the 54 out of the way at one point, which leads me to believe the 54 might have been driving like the 54 drives, and he might have got a welcome to the Cup Series moment there. A lot of people were thinking Joey Logano drove into him because he was trying to take out Denny Hamlin. When I was watching it live, I was like, I wonder what Ty Gibbs did to piss off Joey Logano, because in my mind, Ty Gibbs was still driving like he's in the Xfinity Series, and he got a rude awakening that if you do that in the Cup Series, they will wreck you back. So that's actually what I saw when I was watching it live, but I don't know how much they showed of it on TV. Dirty Death before the green white. Say Kyle, Dr. Puss, I thought my HQ was in Smyrna, Georgia. At least that's what all my Glocktify say on them. Says say Kyle. So two different headquarters for Glocktify. I think the history of RCR drivers is gone before their time. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people didn't watch Dale Senior race. So let's just call it like it is. And the ones that don't know about that, they just assume that Dale Earnhardt was this universally beloved character because after he passed away, he became a universally beloved character. But in the moment of Dale Senior racing, he was equally booed and equally cheered. So that is definitely something I think a lot of people don't realize, or even if they know that, they didn't live it and experience it, and it sort of doesn't resonate the same way. So it is what it is. If you could do it to like a regular sports team, RCR would be the equivalent of the 80s and 90s Pistons, the bad boys, the 70s and maybe 80s Raiders, the bad guy Raiders. It would be sort of one of those teams. They're the bad guy, but they're sort of like the lovable bad guy to a lot of people. They have equal amounts friend and foe as far as the fans are concerned. I can't believe Ryan Blaney saved his car when Denny got into him in turn 3. That was pretty crazy. We were actually listening to Denny's radio when that happened, and Denny said he let out of the gas or something like that. So that was Denny Hamlin inside the car, not talking to anybody. Denny Hamlin's opinion inside of the car. He thought Blaney let out of the gas way too early, and that's, in Denny Hamlin's opinion, what caused that incident. I'm sure. I wish I could have heard Ryan Blaney's radio at the same moment, because I'm sure Ryan Blaney had a different take on the matter. Glockopus, say Kyle, LOL. That's just GUSA. They make some down there, but the real HQ is Duschwagram, Austria. So there you go. You got the triple threat of headquarters there. Howdy from Kazakhstan, late but lucky to make it at all. Been real busy parenting, trying to guide a young man in today's world is beyond a challenge. Amen to that, Robin Marks. I was in the Army. That was a cakewalk compared to this, says Robin Marks. So there you go. I hate it for Truex Jr. and Hamlin, says in between the lanes. Yeah, it's tough, man. The regular season champion doesn't make it. And Denny Hamlin had one of the better seasons that anybody's going to have. He had an amazing race at Martinsville, did just about everything he needed to do, came up a handful of points short to William Byron. And look, shout out to William Byron. He did not have a 13th place car. He probably had a 20th place car, but he got that car to 13th place because he knew that's what he had to do to get into the playoffs. Not every win is a first place. So shout out to Willie B. He got it done. He did what he needed to do to advance to the next round. That truck title was really close to his. He won Homestead, but had he blown up at Phoenix, he would have missed the Final Four. Says Charlotte, LOL, who would want to work for Richard Childress, nepotism, and gold watch swap? And that's what I'm saying. You either like RCR or you don't like RCR. There is no in between. You either like Kyle Busch or you don't like Kyle Busch. You either like Joey Logano or you don't like Joey Logano. I think those type of personalities are just as good for the sport as the clean cut Jimmy Johnsons and Richard Petty's. I think you need both of them in the sport because it's two whole different fan bases that pull for those type of guys. I think you need anything. Delmar Kaufman, how many hot dogs? The hot dog count is at 0 because the line was too long. Delmar, I was not waiting an hour to get the Martinsville hot dogs because I've already had them before. Do you think Penske may have did a little sandbagging this year and last year possibly? Look, Penske's got the best format. They figured out this format better than anybody else. I think Penske, as far as this new playoff format with the one race deal and getting in and all that stuff, I think Penske's got it figured out better than anybody. I think before this format, obviously Hendrick and Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus had that format figured out better than everybody else. So if I was one of these other race teams, I would look at exactly what Penske is doing and how they're going about their business, and I would try to emulate it as much as possible. Case in point being RFK, Roush Fenway Keselowski, where did their guy come from? All of a sudden this year they had a resurgence. I wonder why that is. Because Penske has this format figured out better than anybody, and the guy that is resuscitated RFK comes from that culture, from that family of racing. So not hard to put those to line the oracles up there in that particular situation. Line up the tea leaves. I don't know. I'm not a mystic. I don't know all that stuff. Glock, I'm just looked at the city up. I'm going to be like 30 minutes from there next week. Going to see if I can tour the facility. He says, say Kyle. So there you go. You're going on a deep European trip there. That's pretty cool, my friend. Is it just me, or has Logano just been riding around the back the last couple of weeks? He don't even get mentioned from the broadcast. Well, he finished sixth. So I don't know. I can't tell you about the broadcast because I didn't get a chance to watch it. But from what I saw, he was pretty stout all day. He wasn't as good as the 12 car, but he was pretty doggone good. That's weird how Austin Dillon got better and Busch got worse. Yeah, it's been a similar thing at RFK. Like Brad Keselowski's, I know he got in a wreck in this. He was involved in that 54 wreck. But Brad Keselowski in the playoffs, his car has been better than the 17 the last 6 races, I would say. And the same thing with the 3 and the 8. It's been sort of bizarro world, so I don't know what's going on, but I have noticed that with both of those teams. Sort of weird. Anyone else has gotten close to the triple? I wasn't close. Biffle was mathematically eligible in 08 or 09, but that wasn't his format. Yeah, for sure. And I think who would even be eligible for this? William Byron, Austin Dillon. Ironically enough, I know everybody hates Austin Dillon, and he's got no talent. He does have a Truck Series and a Busch Series or Xfinity Series championship. Those are the only two I think that can pull it off, and obviously William Byron has the chance to do it this year. So yeah, I'm thinking he's got a good chance, but it's one of the best Final Fours of all time. But if he can pull that off, that is going to be that's going to be a lot of merchandise sold because he'll be the only one that he can brag about that. So that'll be pretty cool. RCR is doing just fine. Says one wise guy. Yeah, like they've got 3 wins. All people all of a sudden talk about how terrible they are. I don't know what they're watching this year. 3 wins in a season is not bad. So I'd take if I knew I could get every single year for the rest of my life. That one of my favorite teams, if the 43 or if the 3 and the 8 can get 3 wins every season, I'm good with that. All day, all night. I really want Creed to go to the 10 and Cup. I mean that would be cool, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'm pretty sure he's going to go to JGR in the Xfinity Series. So that's just me guessing there. William Byron drives the Pods truck during the week. Says in between the lanes. Yeah, there were some people complaining they wish he would have a solid paint scheme all season and stop switching up sponsors. So that was another insane argument I saw somebody make on Twitter. Say Kyle, you have to sign up for one of their classes. They have 2 and 3 day classes. Let's see. Good evening, Double B. Even better. Denny is out. LOL, says John Lewis. So John Lewis, not a Hamlin fan. Childress Trackhouse, Elliott Bowman were probably affected the most by the lack of performance by Chevy in the second half of the season, says Dirty Def. Yeah, Chevrolet, like I said, started off really fast, and then there was a moment where Toyota looked like they were dominant, then there was a moment where Ford looked like they were dominant, and now it's just sort of whoever hits the setup that week. Obviously, this week it was not Chevrolet. It looked like Ford and Toyota had it covered, other than Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson had a pretty fast car, but nowhere near the speed to win. He did end up finishing 5th or 6th, I want to say. Say Kyle, but when you do it, you get a certification, and that's good for a while. Man, this chat goes fast. My last 3 comments were connected thoughts, but come in 54 line part says Charlotte. Byron really gutted it out yesterday. Yeah, for sure. He got it done. Once again, the B cars were the main show at Martinsville. Yeah, oh yeah. Xfinity Series in my opinion, puts on the better show compared to the short track package the new car has now. Byron did end up pointing into the final. Few said Duke Chronicle. Yeah, he made it way more interesting than I thought. But I knew for him to get knocked out points wise, somebody would have to have a almost perfect race. And Denny Hamlin almost had a perfect race. Won stage 1, finished 2nd in stage 2, and almost finished in 2nd or 1st here. So all the people that like Denny Hamlin chokes, Denny Hamlin did almost everything he had to do there. I don't think this was a choke race. This was just he had too many points to overcome type race. But people that don't like Denny Hamlin, they're just having fun with it, saying he's a choke artist and all that stuff. So I mean that's part of the sport. That's what's up. I won't be there that long. Only would have an afternoon to run over there if they allow tours. Says Kyle Reddick, Robbie Gordon, Hendrick says MB. Let's see. Any paint schemes you like this weekend? Man, I did see one. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Which one I saw that I liked. So let me think about that for a minute. But there was one that really stood out to me. A lot of people like Daniel Suarez's, but I've seen a lot of camo cars. So that one It was a good looking car. Don't get me wrong, but I've seen the camo thing done. I'm trying to remember of the car I was looking at that I was like, man, that is. Oh, I know what it was. The Reese's, the number 47 Reese's car for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. That was a really good looking car up in person, and I thought the Pods car actually looked pretty good. A lot of people were dissing it. I didn't hate it at all. I think it was Michael McDowell. He had like a orange, white, and blue car. I thought that thing looked really good. All things considered, Ty Gibbs has had a good rookie year, says John Irby. Yeah, I think so too. I think Ty Gibbs has had an outstanding rookie year. Reason why this is such a great channel, everyone feels welcome to express their opinions, says Ben. Yeah, without a doubt. Like, everybody's opinion is valid here. I'm not going to go Dave Moody and act like somebody that has a different opinion than me is a lower class citizen like he does, in my opinion, sometimes. Reddick and Gordon have both played for the Magic. Now we need to draft an Earnhardt, says Say Kyle. Hey, so there you go. Maybe Jeffrey comes out of retirement and becomes an athlete again. I know he had a short MMA career. I was a fan when Dale Sr. Was the villain, says John Irby. Yeah, I think a lot of people that remember that, I think that's probably the defining line. A lot of people that remember that were not super shocked about what happened on Saturday night. The people that I guess don't really remember that or have watched it through rose-colored glasses for some reason, I think they were sort of shocked by what happened Saturday night, but I wasn't. I've seen the people that were like, RCR was not professional there. I was like, you go ahead and tell me the year that you remember RCR being professional. So that's all I got to say about that. Earnhardt Sr. was super polarizing. That's why Bill Elliott always won most popular driver. Everyone pretty much liked him. Thank you, Dirty Death. That's the exact point I was making. So I'm not disrespecting the polished drivers like you've got over there at Penske, Joe Gibbs Racing, and Hendrick. I'm just saying you need an Earnhardt to accentuate the differences, and it makes the sport more fun. The sport is fun if you have a driver you pull against. The sport is fun if you have a driver you pull for. If you have a driver you pull for and a driver you pull against, and they're racing each other, the sport gets way more fun. So I think you need both of them in the modern era, and that's the only point I'm making with the unprofessional versus professional. Brad Keselowski makes. I'm just talking about it from a fan perspective. Brad Keselowski, I'm not talking about how to run a business or anything like that. Brad Keselowski makes sandwiches with King's Hawaiian rolls. Yeah, that car looked good too until unfortunately he got caught up in that 54 wreck. Hendrick, not Earnhardt. I messed up the joke. LOL, says I say Kyle. It's all good, my friend. Raiders versus Detroit tonight, says one wise guy. Oh, okay, so that's pretty cool. Let's see. Who do you got? Who do you got in that? Who do you got in the Raiders Detroit game? That's going to be a tough one to call. I believe this was the first time a regular season champion doesn't make it into the championship four. I think Harvick. I think maybe I can't remember 100% because I don't have it in front of me, but I think Harvick might have been the first one. But I could be wrong about that. Newman saved, I think in 2018 or something like that. I want to say maybe 2019. The Harvick. I can't remember on the Harvick year. He won like a bunch of races and didn't make the Final Four or something. I'm thinking. Newman saved Byron in stage 2. He was about to get trapped a lap down. It would have been over. Not to mention his helmet blowing hot air. Rough day for the 24 faithful, but we're in. Says Say Kyle. Hey, there you go. I was wondering what happened with Ryan Newman, and extremely tough weekend for Newman because he also raced in a modified race at Orange County the night before. So there's no way that he could have been super hydrated by the time he got to the Martinsville race. But yeah, long weekend for Newman, and the fact that it was blowing hot air that made it probably twice as long. So glad he's okay. Glad he got the medical help he needed after the race. I think I asked you this before, BB, but do you think Denny Hamlin will get over the hump and win a championship? It's so hard to say in this format. I think he's a good enough driver to win a championship, is all I can tell you. But he's also in his 40s. Typically, drivers, there are Kevin Harvicks and Mark Martins of the world. Do not get me wrong at all. Typically, though, drivers do not get better in their 40s. Harvick and Mark Martin being the exception, Harry Gant, David Pearson. But typically, they don't get better in their 40s. I think he is a driver that is capable of winning a championship. I don't know if he has enough years left to win a championship. But all I can tell you is it would never surprise me if he won a championship because I think he's a championship-level driver, whether you like him or not. Yeah, I think everyone – his talent alone is legitimate. Yeah, I think everyone else has to go back to trucks to seal it, says Charlotte. Yeah, I think you're right as well. That could be a dream. I know Kyle Busch. He might be the only person that makes the truck season interesting if he ran like full-time trucks one season, trying to go for a title. He could actually do it sort of backwards. He's already got the other two. He would have to go down to the truck series and get one. That would be a dream come true if the 43 could get 3 wins a year, says Delmar. Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Like I'm never gonna thumb my nose at a 3-win season. Regardless if it's one car that does it or if it's 2 cars with the organization to get those 3 wins. 3 wins is a good season in my books, but a lot of people, I guess, don't feel that way. I know Gregson is supposedly about to get the SHR number 10, says John Irby. Yep, for sure. That is the big rumor, according to Bob Pockris, at least. Hello, folks, says Sha. What's up, Sha? John Lewis, I hope so. Look how similar last year and this year's race. Dominated 1 to 2 stages, stuck in traffic midway through the last stage, says Dirty Death. Yep, for sure. Josh Williams, Beetlejuice was awesome, says Brian W. Yeah, the Beetlejuice car was awesome. I was just thinking about Cup Series cars, but yeah, Xfinity Series, the Beetlejuice car. I'm a big Beetlejuice fan, so anything Michael Keaton, really, he's a good actor. The more I saw the Pods car, the more I liked it. I was undecided through Saturday. LOL, says Say Kyle. I thought it was a pretty good looking car. The colors really popped in real life, at least where I was at. I don't know how it looked on TV. Sometimes TV can skew it just a little bit one way or the other. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. buys Reese's Peanut Butter Cups at Kroger. Yeah, I really like that car. It really worked well together. It had 2 complement colors. Orange and blue always look really good together. So I thought it was pretty good. Orange and purple, I think, no, it's orange and blue. Purple and yellow. I used to know the color thing, but I don't know it anymore. The red was brilliant on the 14 in the lights, in my opinion, says John Lewis. Every time I looked at the 14 for whatever reason, he was always racing somebody, so I never got a good look at the 14 car. Merch and maybe RCR pole. Yeah, so let me see if I save it here. Nope, haven't. Let's see here. There we go. All right, there's the merch. I dropped the merch down there if you want to check out the merch store. And right now, Kyle Larson is leading the poll at 43%, William Byron at 20%, Ryan Blaney at 34%, and Christopher Bell. So pretty close race between Blaney and Larson right now as to who you guys think is going to be the 2023 champ. Daniel Suarez with the jockey Luke Bryan camo scheme says in between the lanes. Oh yeah, that was pretty cool. I did like the Carrie Underwood. I not necessarily like Carrie Underwood being on it, but I did like the actual overall scheme of, and nothing against Carrie Underwood. I'm just not a big fan of people putting their faces on cars. It looks, I don't know, it looks kind of weird to me. But that's just a personal preference. I know a lot of people love it. But like the overall scheme of that 43 car looked really good, I thought. Maybe take Carrie Underwood off and just make that the regular Allegiant scheme next season. I think that would be really cool. Hey, Baloney and everyone else. What's up, Mike George? Good to see you. Timber Race. Hey, BB. Took the family and my wife and invited her friend with her kids. 8 first-time race attendees, and at least a couple will be race fans for life. That's awesome, Timber Race. I did run into a few people out there. I'm not going to lie to you. I was super tired, and I took a long nap, or tried to. I didn't really sleep. Tried to take a nap in my truck for a good portion of it. And then I walked around the for a little while, but I did see at least maybe 4 or 5 people. So really cool meeting everybody. Just a good time. Yes, I have a lot of respect for Dale Sr., but didn't like him at all when he was racing. And you're right, he was fun to pull against as Dirty Death. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's always fun to have somebody to pull against as well. People are going to hate this, but Hamlin and Logano are the closest thing to the modern day Earnhardt as far as fan reaction and support. That's not an inaccurate statement. I agree with you. You either love them. I would throw Kyle Busch in there too. You either love them or hate them, at least in my opinion. Says say Kyle. The fan reaction they get, 100% agree with you. Joey Logano probably drives as aggressively as Dale Sr. Denny Hamlin sort of picks his spots. But yeah, I think Joey Logano is pretty close. Denny Hamlin's more of a precise driver. Denny Hamlin kind of reminds me more of like if Mark Martin moved people out of the way sort of when he felt like it. I feel like that's kind of what Denny Hamlin reminds me of, because he's just really like super precise. Earnhardt was more seat of your pants, wheel it, Tim Richmond style. So I think had good car control. Denny Hamlin seems to be more of like I don't know. He's more of a precision guy. That might not make any sense, but I just think they have a little bit of a different driving style. But fan reaction, and yeah, for sure. And they all got a bunch of wins. So I think Corey LaJoie has to have a breakout year in 2024 with Carson Hocevar in the other car, says John Lewis. It's going to be a lot of pressure on him because he's also got Zane Smith over there too. So we can't leave Zane Smith out of that mix either. I need to kick the nice out of NASCAR. Need some week-to-week drama, get the fans back into it. Not sure if they will recover otherwise, says Massey Ferguson. I agree with you. This playing nice and everybody's friends, that's for the birds, man. You ain't got no friends out there on the racetrack. Almost sad that Hacklin missed the Final Four. Not, says Mark Barnum. Is SHR announcing the driver Noah of the 10 this week? That's a good question. We'll have to see what happens. 18 years of trying, Mark, says one wise guy. Best looking car this week was the winner of Groovy Hollow. Hey, say Kyle, my man. That without question, that car. Shout out to Christopher Darling, because that car was pretty awesome. BB to the 10 car, SHR Dark Horse Mustang. Well, I'll tell you what, if they put me in the 10 car, that would take a lot of pressure off of the other three drivers, because they would not have to worry about who was the better driver in that situation. They would have one driver they would have one driver in their team they knew they were going to finish in front of every week. I promise you that. So maybe from that perspective, they would be happy about that. I do bring enough sponsor money to purchase one tire for the entire season, maybe. I might be able to string something together for that. Is it noticeable that Spire got some money? What's your thoughts for that team next year, says Aaron Flynn? I think you're going to see a big jump in performance. How big that jump is, I think Gainsbridge jumping on board with them, you're going to see a significant increase in performance, especially with basically a Trackhouse alliance now that Trackhouse basically partially owns that other charter. I think you're going to see a significant jump. Not only in them, but Trackhouse with the extra information from those cars, I think you're going to see a significant jump in performance. A lot of things lining up for that. You won't hear this Gator fan arguing about orange and blue not looking good, says say Kyle. Denny Hamlin, Mavis tires and brake schemes looks nice. Yeah, I like yellow and green myself. I do wish that green was a little bit of a different color green, but yeah, yellow and green. I did like the Seattle Supersonics jerseys back in the days. Ben Kluber, I agree, says in between the lanes. Who was worse this year, Suarez or Bowman? Says Dirty Def. I'm not a big fan of who's worse. I think both drivers are good. So let me start off by saying that. I think both drivers are good. But if you're going to have to give a nod as to who the better driver was this season, I would have to say Suarez because he didn't miss any races. So, I mean, whenever you miss a race, that regardless, Alex Bowman was out there putting in seat time. I'm not going to hate on Alex Bowman for driving a dirt race. I think that's a great thing. He's giving back to the fans. He's giving back to the sport by racing local tracks. But whenever you miss a race, that's always a bad year as a driver. You never want to see somebody else drive your race car. So probably Alex Bowman had the worst year. You never want to see somebody else driving in your race car. Kerry Underwood would have put the legs on the car. It would have been better, says Mark Barnum. Faces on car are gross, says say Kyle, unless it's Corey LaJoie. Now, I will say that the beard, because it was funny, they were doing it not to make it look good on purpose. The Corey LaJoie beard I was good with. The Underwood thing was probably due to commercial they were running during the TV broadcast all race with her promoting the Allegiant credit card. But yeah, if I thought the overall Allegiant scheme looked good on that, but if you just pop the actual face off the car, I think it looks really clean like that. And I'm not hating on Carrie Underwood, beautiful woman, but I'm not a face on cars type person. What it's like going to a NASCAR race in person, BB? I've only watched it on TV. Says in between the lanes. I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. The fan experience at the racetrack is unbeatable because you don't have to rely on TV. You can watch the race you want to watch. Just bring a radio. You can bring like a regular. You don't have to get the scanner. Just bring a regular radio with noise canceling headphones so you can listen to MRN. So you can keep and my headset for whatever reason was like sort of going out. That's the only reason I couldn't keep up with everything going on. But if you can just listen to MRN for the entire race, it'll keep you up to date on what's going on during the race. So that would be my only recommendation for what to bring with you to the racetrack, other than if it's a day race, bring sunscreen, all that good stuff. But yeah, you can't beat watching a race live in person. if you ever get a chance. Suarez raced all season. Bowman broke his back. Suarez had no excuses. One last guy. So yeah, that's certainly the other take. There's no doubt about that. I was just speaking about, like, if you're the race car driver, it probably had to be a worse season for Alex Bowman because he had to watch somebody else drive his race car. Like I said, I think both of those guys are really good race car drivers. And I hate that every single season, both of those drivers have to listen about, oh, who are we going to put in this car? It's like they're always on the hot seat, at least with fans. Ross was on that path until Darlington. LOL says Dirty Death. I choose to dislike Denny Hamlin for the same reasons I did not like Dale Earnhardt Sr. because they were hard on the drivers that I like, and I'm a Dale and Denny fan because of that, says Claude Williams. So there you go. Nothing wrong with that. Dirty Death. Ross was the show every week until his win at Nashville. I honestly think NASCAR missed things that were going on with him every week. It might be. It might be. I kind of wish college programs comprised Xfinity or Truck Series built cars and put drivers from local tracks in on scholarships. Can you imagine the SEC rivalries at Talladega, Bristol, etc.? That's not a bad idea. And I think there has been, I need to look this up. But I do think in the past, there has been a NASCAR team that was fielded by college students. Maybe Clemson. They had like a Busch Series car, I want to say, that the students worked on, and they had a driver drive it. So I do think that at one time that there was something like that. In between the lanes, Loud says Timber Race. Yep, says in between the lanes. I had tickets at Kansas. I bought a scanner and headphones and listened to the drivers, mostly MRN broadcast. Was cheaper than renting a scanner, says Mark Barnum. Yep, there's nothing wrong with that. The radio guys are a trip. So the other thing, you can hear the radio guys when they go to commercial. You can hear them talking about random stuff too. So that's a fun little tidbit. If you're really old and remember the original satellites, it's like when stuff went off air, you could still hear the announcers talking on the raw satellite field. The radio guys are a trip at the track. That's all I listen to. Just got a headset. Talk to my grandson. Not excited for Phoenix. It's an okay track at best. Snapper racing fan. What's up with the 3 turning the 48 and the 21? I don't know. The 48 deal, that was a stack up. I don't know what happened with the 21, but the 48 deal, that was a stack up that happened in front of them. From my vantage point, and I was watching live. I didn't have the joy of instant replay, but just from my perspective where I was sitting, it looked like everything got stacked up in front of them, but I'll have to go back and look at it. So I couldn't give you an honest opinion on that one. Could we please get a lap indicator that's legible from every seat without a radio scanner? I lost track of laps during the last green flag run, and the checkers snuck up on me, says Tim Brace. Yeah, so the bad thing about the LED screen, amazing at nighttime, but there was such a glare from the sun at the time they ran this race that you really couldn't see the white. Like, Maybe for these races, they need to go to black numbers because you couldn't see anything written in white. So maybe they need to go to a different contrast for day races. But yeah, that was I could easily see how that happens for sure. Senior fan for life. Still trying to figure out who to pull for. No driver out there can drive like Senior did. They would be parked. But guess what? Back then the stands were packed, says Massey Ferguson. And that's basically the point I was trying to make in the video about RCR being unprofessional. The more you let the drivers say how they really feel about stuff, the more people are going to sit their butts in those seats to watch those races. And that's the only point I was making. A lot of people are like, you're taking this guy's side, you're taking that guy's side. I wasn't taking anybody's side. I was saying what everybody did in that situation was great. And if more people would do that, just be honest about how they feel when they get out of the race car, the stands would be packed. They wouldn't have to worry about selling tickets. I'll tell you that. Other than the Hail Melon, what has been the biggest moment in NASCAR the past year? I would vote Ross Noah post race. You're probably right about that. I would have to say, yeah, I would have to say you're probably right about that. Probably the biggest moment before that would have been Ryan Newman's wreck at Daytona. So those have been probably the 3 biggest events in the past 5 or 6 years. I wish Premium NASCAR Scanner would let you hear the MRN crew during the commercials. That would be pretty cool. On the app, says Say Kyle. They should put Moody in the booth. He calls the race well. Yeah, he's definitely one of the best out there, no doubt about it. Dirty Death, all the radio guys are amazing, really. Dirty Death, it was Denny not making it, says John Lewis. So that's his biggest moment of the season. I'm with you on that, Mark. Would love to see that when they do a radio style, Watkins Glen or Chicago. Yeah, radio style is awesome. Those guys they're just next level. And no disrespect to anybody in the TV booth. I missed much of the early stream. Did you talk about the next gen and short track racing? I like the long green flag runs. All I said about the next gen car was it was apparently a better race on TV because you could hear what was going on. I think a lot of people at the racetrack just felt like it was cars going in a circle, but I guess because you knew what was going on, you could see comers and goers on TV. Let's see. But yeah, if they're going in the right direction, hopefully they keep going in that direction to make the short track package better. Kick off at 5 p.m. I catch you guys and gals tomorrow. Take it easy, one wise guy. Yeah, I think I'm going to hop off here and watch the football game myself. So we'll hang on here for a couple more minutes, then I'm going to pop off. I was very encouraged by the racing at Martinsville yesterday. Much improved, but still needs work on the car and the package. More horsepower always helps as an racing fan. Yeah, imagine if they had more horsepower and this tire right here that falls off. They'd have something then, in my opinion. Radio, oh my God, this race sounds insane, says Say Kyle. TV, yeah, that was cool race. LOL, says Say Kyle. So yeah, definitely a different style. Of course, on TV, you can show it. You can show the story. You don't have to tell it on radio. You have to tell the story because nobody can see it. So just a different style about going about your business. I was pulling for the 12, so it was easy watching him pass so many cars. So September race, yeah, he was. Race car drivers dream about having a car that handles that well. Like, it's so rare that you get a car that handles as well as that car handled. So he had to be super happy with what Penske brought to the track for him. And a good win, popular win, and super clutch. He did what he had to do to get into the playoffs. That's another thing that probably kind of goes a little bit underrated. And now that he's in the playoffs or the playoff finale, I think you can consider him one of the favorites, but all four of them you could consider the favorite because they've all had amazing seasons. Let's see. I remember being at Rockingham back in the 90s. Earnhardt told Richard on the scanner that if guys don't get my windshield clean next pit stop, kick his butt off the track, says Massey Ferguson. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just sort of a group, and you either are with that particular culture or you're not with that particular culture. Neither's right or neither's wrong. It draws different types of fans. So it is what it is there. There's no in between. You either like it or you don't. Boyer, with that Daytona crash call was so bad. LOL. Get excited, bro. Says Say Kyle. Happy that the 7 got into the Final Four. Exciting finish, says Aaron Flynn. Yeah, it definitely was a really good finish. I will say that. Will Harvick make Fox better next year? He definitely will, Napa Racing fan. If so, how much better? I think it will be significantly better. How much can he improve the broadcast on his own? I think him and Clint Boyer will mesh well. I think it'll be a good mix. So I think it'll be significantly good. And Mike Joy, I'm a big fan of Mike Joy. So I think that whole deal will come off pretty well. All right, that looks like the last comment. So I'm going to watch the football game. I will check you guys tomorrow and then Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. Y'all have a good one. Peace.